The sensational murder of Pune businessman Ketan Agarwal has taken yet another dramatic turn. Sources now claim that the prime accused, Goyal, had secretly married her boyfriend, Chetan 4 months ago, even after getting engaged to Ketan in February. Investigators are now verifying whether the couple registered their marriage under the Special Marriage Act. If confirmed, it could become a crucial piece of evidence in the conspiracy case. Police are also questioning two of Sia's college friends who signed as witnesses to the marriage registration. Technical teams are also attempting to recover deleted photographs from a private Instagram account that showed Sia and Chetan wearing wedding garlands. Investigators are also examining Chetan's bank records to determine whether money was paid to bypass the mandatory public notice required for a marriage registration. Police believe the murder plot gathered pace after Ketan's family asked Sia to submit documents for their planned destination wedding in Udaipur, forcing the accused to act before the wedding preparations advanced further. The investigation has also uncovered what police describe as disturbing digital evidence. According to investigators, Sia searched online for details about the high-profile Raja Raghuvanshi murder case in Meghalaya, with officers suspecting she may have studied that case while planning Ketan's killing. Police also claim her internet history included searches on whether women are beaten in police custody and the legal rights of female prisoners. Investigators say that Sia and Chetan jointly pushed Ketan off a cliff at Lohagarh Fort on June 18th, calling it a meticulously planned murder. Both accused remain in judicial custody, while another mobile phone recovered from Sia's residence has been sent for forensic examination. As the investigation widens, police are piecing together digital records, financial transactions, and the alleged secret marriage. Developments that could significantly strengthen the prosecution's case in one of Maharashtra's most shocking murder investigations. I'm being joined by Dr. Kapil Kakkar, who's a psychologist, Dr. Nisha Khanna, who's a marriage counselor, and Nirmal Kaur, who's a former DGP for Jharkhand. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me. Well, let me just ask you, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, at this point, what do you make out of this? You know, is this expected? There have been some gory crimes recently, and I think once this Pune case did come out to the fore, almost instantly everybody could just look at the parallels between what happened in Meghalaya, what is being known as the Meghalaya honeymoon murder case, and the Pune murder case. There seems to be eerie similarities between the two.
Definitely. It is a very unfortunate, cold-blooded, premeditated murder, Very cold-blooded, and, all the conspiracy was hatched so fine, fine-tuned. All the details were worked out, all the researches were done. And, of course, the example of Meghalaya case was in front of them, that he came out on bail, and Sia also must have thought that it is not going to be that difficult. And now the evidence comes out that she's already married Chetan a few months ago, and also, she's going around with this farce of wedding with the Ketan also. So they had to get together, conspire, and they murdered him in cold blood just by pushing him. Same as the Shillong murder, same as the Meghalaya murder which took place. And this lady is very, I think both of them, the couple, is very cruel and criminally, inclined and very criminal-minded, Maybe one of them is a psychopath.
Criminally minded. Let me just get in at this point, Dr. Kapil Kakkar. Dr. Kapil Kakkar, take us through how would a psychologist look at this? All of this is post the case. These are all things that are being probed right now. This is, as it were, even in this case, Sia is not convicted. She's accused of these things. These are cases that are sub judice. So we are not running a media trial. But it's just the shock of what's unraveling. It's just a shock of what's unraveling. It's also the details of how in one case you had Sonam who was already in a relationship with somebody, married on a honeymoon, pushing her husband off, you know, if I can say, killing her husband. We don't know. That's sub judice. That's, you know, allegedly, that's what's being claimed at this point or being probed at this point. In Pune, again, eerie similarities. You have a young lady, an educated lady, quote unquote, an empowered lady who's in love supposedly with another gentleman. What's emerging right now is possibility of them being married after she was engaged to Ketan, and then both conniving to push a young man off the cliff for no fault of his. How do you explain this psychologically?
Well, I had in one of your programs with one of your colleagues almost 7, 8 days back, I had predicted this, that this girl would have been inspired from Sonam Raghuvanshi case, and she would have vowed that the mistakes which they would have done, these people will not do it, hence they will save themselves. And why would I say that is? Because the precautions which they took in Sonam's case, there were multiple people involved. There were 5, 6 of them involved. In this case, the brainchild and so primarily the two, I would say there are two protagonists or the two criminal minded who ensured they did not involve anybody else so that the story and the modus operandi only lies with them. For me, there can be just one more person who, in case would be involved, would be otherwise. So that is the first precaution they took, which means they did study Sonam Raghuvanshi case very closely. Secondly, like you said, that she went on Google and Googling that what happens in jail, whether women are beaten up, whether they are tortured and all. So she was also mentally preparing herself that even if she goes to jail, she knew that over a period of time that she would be out also soon. So I think these were the other motivating factor, unfortunately for her, where both of them had done their full research on the topic, what Sonam did, what mistakes they made, and how they need to ensure. That is why the boy was in the hoodie. He was out. He did not accompany her initially, and then his mobile phone was with one of his, I think, drivers or somebody, the third person, and he had taken somebody's else number, mobile. Lastly, I have been seeing this girl's parents saying that we really loved Ketan, the father saying this. And when I saw him saying this, and the mother said that we don't mind you pushing my daughter from the cliff, if you would have seen that. I am very sure the day when I heard that, I was very sure they are being tutored by the lawyers. How do you handle media? What are the things that you need to say? Because they never meant what they were saying. They, for me, had very little empathy for the boy who has gone. So that was the unfortunate part. So the point I'm trying to make is that when we talk about criminal minded, this is a very well researched a module that they have played out, and they knew exactly what they were doing, why they were doing, and that is why the marriage thing also had kind of taken place. So unfortunately, when you talk about such criminals, for me, they are a borderline case where they might be novice, but they are almost criminals, is what I would call them to be.
You know, but the irony of it all is, how does one know? And that's where I want to really get in Dr. Nisha Khanna. Dr. Nisha, you know, when you hear such cases, I think one thing that immediately comes to the fore, and you know, we discussed a lot about this, that isn't it so much more easier to say a no and face the consequences of saying no to a relationship or to a proposed marriage than to go through all of it? Clearly, that doesn't seem to be the case. What must one do, you know, if you, after a particular incident, you come across and you hear experts say that this is, this has many layers and this could be a classic case of maybe somebody being a psychopath. We're not getting into all of that, but if these are the kind of concerns that really emerge, what must one do while one is getting into a marriage, getting out of a marriage, getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship, because one would have thought that's just part of life. That's how life is lived. But clearly that is not.
Ma'am, one thing Sneha would like to highlight here is that this case clearly talked about enmeshment in the family circle. When we talked about enmeshment, it is like the kids are following what the parent says. Like, I want to marry a guy of choice who my parents selected, and I can't say no. Saying no is a difficulty for such children where family boundaries are blurred, where you are maybe the due to some trauma, due to some cultural issues, due to some, I would say, family dynamics, you can't say no. And I said did that. And 95% of Indian families, the kids, adults are born and brought up in such families, or not even in India, even if the person is having the victim of emotional disconnect or emotional neglect by parents. Then also couple of times it happens that the person may boy or a girl, beyond a gender, I'm talking about this concept, that they blindly follow what the parent says. And it is in our culture, sometimes certain
No, but
caste
Dr.
people,
Nisha,
maybe.
this is beyond that. This is, I can't even say these are two lives being lived, because look at those visuals, and if you could play those visuals out of both of them, I think in a murk, they both were in a murk. The girl Sia looked so happy at a birthday surprise that was thrown at her, roses, balloons, flowers all over the entire murk,
Man, people
decorated
live
for that
too.
matter. And that's, as the engagement was being celebrated, it was soon after the engagement. And then you have simultaneously another marriage that has happened, that has been
Yes.
registered. Apparently, two of your friends have gone and even been witness to this. This is possibly, one would not even think of this for a
Yes.
movie plot.
But ma'am, it happens. In clinic, we see people live two separate lives where one partner has no idea what is happening on another side of the story. And again, I would say here, the parents must be bit of aware about what was somewhere in the girl's mind that she doesn't want to marry. But they may have forced her, and as I said, that the environment was such she can't say no. And I'm telling you, it is not about that. That's why personality trait the person dwelt. Another thing is that if person having searched up the history, that doesn't make the person a criminal. But definitely, lots of people out of curiosity want to know how these things happen, what happened, and how what they treat and how they deal with such issues. Maybe she got some
True as well.
inspiration.
Let me
I do
just
not
get a
know.
Nirmal Kaur. I know Dr. Kapil wants to come in at this point, but Dr. Kapil, give me a minute. Nirmal Kaur, now what the investigating team is saying at this point is they are looking into the aspect that she was inspired by the Meghalaya-like case. But when the Meghalaya-like case happened, I think there was shock everywhere. The Meghalaya honeymoon murder case, everybody would have searched for it, and even she would have searched for it. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But again, as we are talking about it, there seems to be a whole lot of similarities about it. How much of it was really inspired by the Meghalaya murder case is something that we'll have to really look into and wait for the probe to come. But I want to ask from you, Mr. Milkor, how much can such real-time crime scenes incidents influence another person's motive for a copycat criminal behavior?
See, the motive is there, innate, inherently motive is there. They want to kill, but how to kill is definitely, they model it on all these reported cases. Like sometimes you see suicides, then there's a spurt of suicides. There's a crime. So people who want to commit a crime are kind of, they say it is that easy. Oh, we didn't think of it. A lot of crime, in fact, much more than you would ever imagine, much beyond your imagination. A lot of crime is imitating, life imitating, either other incidents or life imitating movies. Like, when I was in an Naxal area, there's this movie, Platoon, where when we raided the Naxal camps, these many movie cassettes came out. And in a place called Amrajhor, when the body was removed of the Sipahi who was killed, they had put in explosives, and many more people died when the body was moved out. So this happened in a movie. So they are very illiterate people. They're watching all these crime movies from Hollywood and all to get ideas of how to get the better of the enemy, which in this case was police. So a lot of it is inspired, or it imitates. They emulate the modus. In this case, obviously, the modus operandi has been picked up by the Sonam Raghuvanshi case. which perhaps lots of people have been saying even before these talks and chats and the marriage thing came out. People have been saying that definitely all that press reporting and the details of that was being given in the media.
Right.
And for a certain criminal mind, it will be a very glorious kind of a thing if you have a criminal mind. And I mean, it's so easy. We didn't think of it, and that is what they are doing here.
Dr.
So a
Kapil?
lot of crime is inspired by the media and also by the fictional world, like the
Oh dear,
novels.
that's a whole lot of thing put upon us to say that it's been inspired by the media. But Dr. Kapil,
Yes, so you had a very interesting question to both Ms. Nirmal as well as Nisha. So the one question, like you said, when something like this happens, can we say was it inspired? I'm sure you would have heard of something called suicide point. At times there are places which kind of become a kind of a precedent where people find a particular place for to commit suicide. And that would happen for 1.5 years. That place kind of becomes a favorite place. So that is how it influences. So I'm sure in Sonam, in this particular case also, she would have studied Sonam Raghuvanshi, she would have studied this blue drum and various other things they would have deliberated upon. But the question is that they wanted to murder, and that is what is troubling. Now, the second thing, when you were asking Dr. Nisha about the dual life, like she was rightly pointing out, I remembered a case which came to me almost 3-4 years back. There was a man who was in a marriage for 12 years. He had a 10-year-old son, and he says that he celebrates his wife's birthday, right? And after 10 days, the wife, she goes to the court for divorce. And he says, I was shocked. But he said that all her friends in the birthday party knew that she was going to file a divorce after 10 days. However, everybody was enjoying and having fun as if everything was hunky-dory. So my little point here is that, like Dr. Nisha said, people at times, they live two different lives and they are very convinced. So when this girl, she was in her engagement, this thing, for example, if you would have seen Sonam Raghuvanshi's video also, she was very happy when she was getting married.
That's true.
So that is how they orient themselves. But they have the other side also, which they quietly and very quickly switch. And that is where is a set off of a criminal mind set also. That is manipulation that comes in.
Dr. Nisha Khanna?
I just want to say that sometimes people enjoy moments. In a particular moment when you are with someone also, that smile, that happiness can be natural also. But when you are out of that environment, and especially when people are involved into
Dr.
infidelity,
Nisha, how can
I'm
it be
telling you,
natural? No,
ma'am, if you do the search of infidelity cases.
No, let me break this down. How can it be natural? You engaged to somebody, you have married somebody else.
Yes.
You are plotting a marriage and you're being given flowers by somebody whom you're planning to murder. How can that be a happy moment?
Ma'am, the way you said it, that we can't say throughout the media that she's a murderer or not. That is
no, we didn't say. I said a murder is being plotted. I didn't say she murdered. No.
Yes,
I'm very clear about my words. I didn't say she murdered him. That's not what I'm saying. A murder was being plotted.
Yeah. So I would say that, ma'am, it's very common because on everyday basis when we sit in the clinic, we see in infidelity cases, people are living two separate lives. The lives may be this which my parents want to me to live, the life which is for the social status, the life which is being appreciated by the society. And there is one part of the personality where they are with the other partner, which sometimes under the hidden layers, and where they are happily enjoying that time too. And telling the other partner, okay, I'm be with you. And I'm sorry to say, but I think so. In every infidelity case, people live two separate lives. They are enjoying their lives, holidays, trips, shopping, everything. And I'm telling you, those moments are not fake moments. It's just maybe there's a constant fight between head and heart. And this is the right example between they have a turbulent personality where sometimes the head is over the heart or heart is over the head. There is a constant juggle between. And it is a sign of lack of emotional regulation or lack of emotional control. Which side to be go? Whether I have to go the side which my parents decided is the best future, or whether I have to go with whom I want to live my life. So people does this. It's like I want to be someone. Maybe I did an arranged marriage. I want to settle down with my kids. Side by side, I am dating with someone, or a male or a beyond gender. I am commenting that, and it's very common that people are living two separate lives. Years and years, the other partner have no idea this person
All
has,
right.
or this male female has been cheating. It's very very common. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nirmal. We are totally out of time, but 30 seconds.
Yeah, just 30 seconds. You know, these such people, such criminals are successful schizophrenics. Schizophrenia is normally seen as a disease, but they are highly successful schizophrenics. And you see even most of
I
the...
think I have a little trouble with that, using that word.
Ma'am,
I think these are...
Ma'am, this is not schizophrenia.
I know. I also think
Not in
we
the
need to
clinical
use these words very carefully, very cautiously. You know, it has a whole lot of... It's a very loaded term. It's a very psychological condition. It's... I think we just need to use that with restraint. I understand what you're saying, but I think I would still say we need to use that with restraint.
Keep in your mind, and you're good at both. Two
No,
or multiple.
Ma'am, it's not schizophrenia. Ma'am, it's not schizophrenia.
Okay, I don't want to get into that. As I said, I think as I'm anchoring this show, I think I would want to just say it. There are some terms that need to be used with much restraint because it also has social implications. And we need to weigh that in right now. But that doesn't take away from the shock of this case as well. I think it's just... And as young people who possibly are in relationships, may get out of relationships, are in marriages, may get out of marriages, I think these are the realities that one really needs to work around and find out one's own coping mechanisms. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all three of you. Dr. Kapil Kakar, Dr. Nisha Khanna, as well as Nirmal Kaur. Thank you so much for joining us.